Hey guys, we need your help. We've noticed not all of you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, so subscribe today.
Subscribe, hit that button.
Usually we see about 7, 8 jobs come open each year, which is a fourth of the league, which is a lot. One that could or could not come open to me, maybe based on the return of Joe Burrow. I know the Cincinnati Bengals aren't quite as coveted as any of those NFC East teams, and that's it's tough. It's just a tough division. Also, you know, I feel like in that the Ravens and the Steelers are maybe the more coveted jobs. I don't know because they never turn over, but I'm looking at this Bengals situation, and does Joe Burrow come back? And also, does that impact his head coach? Like, it feels like there's a lot of ripple effects here based on whether or not Joe Burrow is able to come back. Should he come back? What's your take? You're a player. I'll tell you what my math says, but you're a player, so I'm curious what that feels like.
I'm a player, but I'm not a franchise quarterback. So they're almost playing a different sport than I was playing. I would absolutely come back if it was me. If I'm Joe Burrow and my team is not in playoff contention and I know how much money I'm worth and not all those things. It's football, but you are a franchise face of a franchise, and you gotta think about the future a little bit more there than a cornerback would. So I think Joe Burrow, if they're not in playoff contention analytically, like not gonna happen type of thing based on how they play these next few games, I wouldn't come back if I was Joe Burrow. I would save it for next year. Jamar Chase under contract, T. Higgins under contract. We can bring it back next year. Obviously, he probably doesn't say that. He probably doesn't want to do that. But if I was his advisor, that's what I'd be advising him to do.
If I'm that team, I I mean, unless there's like some new study out that I'm unaware of, I just don't think that it's worth the risk because number 1, where you don't have things locked down. That is not the side of the ball he plays on. Now, if you were trying to figure out who you're going to pay on offense, perhaps him coming back might have some value because then you could see where the chemistry was, but you've already paid those guys. Like you're pretty locked in on offense. Now on defense, total question mark, right? Like it feels like you're trading away captains and but not Trey Hendrickson. It feels like you have to get some things right there. So for me, my efforts, if I'm the Bengals, where this season is probably not one that's going to net me in a trip to the postseason, I'm trying to figure out every single thing on my defense that I need to get all of my ducks in order because the best way to support Joe Burrow going forward, given where their cap is and everything else, would be to come up with a scheme for their defense. So, who am I getting in free agency? How do I nail the draft on this? What am I doing to really protect all of the assets I've already paid? Because they're not in the same, they have not redone their cap to the modern standards of an Eagles or someone like that, where they can make last minute or different switches and have them be impactful. They just have shown they can't do that. So, if I'm them, I'm trying to fit. I am solely focused on figuring out my defense so that I can help my quarterback not have to throw for, conservatively 7,000 yards and 600 touchdowns in a in a season. So that's what I would say. But again, that's a if you're the owner, maybe not because I do think it might not end up with Zach Taylor being their coach anymore. Maybe either way. I don't know.
Yeah, what year is this? Is this last year? They did this the same exact conversation. Like, fix it. I mean, we talked about this last year. Joe Burrow threw for X amount of yards, 4,000 on pace to be an MVP. Can't play any better, and they don't make the playoffs. So they obviously have to fix the defense.
Yep.
They changed defensive coordinators. They had a whole long contract dispute with Trey Hendrickson. They decided to agree to a one-year deal with Trey Hendrickson. They drafted Shamar Stewart, who's got 3 sacks in his life, in the first round, right? They draft D linemen and all this stuff, and they bring in Al Golden, and it's still not good defense. Like, they
And you
should have
trade away
been.
Logan Wilson, who's a captain. You
Yeah,
had
well,
by
they
the way,
benched
you
him
sat him.
prior.
He
They
was a
benched him
healthy
prior,
scratch at
yeah.
some
They
point.
benched him prior for poor play. So it's like this has been the Bengals for as long as Joe Burrow's been there. Unless back when they had Jesse Bates and real Pro Bowl players on defense who they decided not to pay and let Jesse Bates go to Atlanta and just light it up. Like, why don't pay your Pro
Ron
Bowl
Bell.
players on
There's
defense?
other ones too.
Right, so it's just like, remember when they had, like, Awuzie and Jesse Bates and, like, actual really good defensive players that they let walk, and now they have an abysmal defense for 2 years, and now Joe Burrow's just getting hurt? So to me, this is the Bengals, man. This has been going on as long as I've been in the league. They haven't been paying their players. So don't know what they got to do over there, but you have a window with Joe Burrow. And
Yeah.
if I'm Joe Burrow, how long do I stay over there?
I mean, the other thing people don't talk about enough, last year, Jamar Chase was the Triple Crown winner on a rookie deal. Nobody would do that. Other people would have held out. And by the way, no other team would have not paid him because the chances he got hurt would be so much higher that like what are we talking about here? So they even got lucky that for a year extra they didn't have to pay number 1, Uno time. Like I'm like you got a freebie right there. That was about at least let's call it 10 million in easement, right? At least. Somebody explain this to me because these are some of the best players in the leagues and like you're not I don't know, we're lucky to be in a time where, oh gosh, we get to see Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes. Oh shucks, what a terrible ratings for like it's great. Like these are some of the Josh Allen, like all these playoff guys, and then now you're sitting here being like, how about we just not invest in the defense like at all? And that defense, I remember seeing them live. You know, in the last place I saw them live was the Super Bowl. So yeah, I don't know. I that just it frustrates me because they have something like how many teams in the league would love to have Joe Burrow? I'll wait, all of them, other than the ones that have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. Like so many teams would love that. So I don't know.
I mean, imagine being a player though. You get what you deserve. A lot of these franchises, right? Like you're Jesse Bates. You defensively help lead the Bengals and Joe Burrow, obviously, but on the defense, your side, you help lead the Bengals to the Super Bowl. You're a Cooper Cup not miraculous season. Cooper Cup touchdown away from winning the Super Bowl, right? The Bengals, by the way, and another team decides to make you the highest paid safety in the NFL. Why wouldn't you guys make me the highest paid safety? What else you guys want me to do as a player? We just got the Bengals to the Super Bowl. Let's lock up our core, and we're not going anywhere for 10 years like the Chiefs do, right? Like all these other great teams have done, like the Eagles have done. Lock up the core. And the fact that Jesse Bates, like, is just one of a good friend of mine,
Yeah,
but the
Jesse's
fact that,
great.
like, you're letting guys like that walk and think you're just gonna draft somebody that is gonna replace that production, it does
There's
not
also, like, tons of
work like
studies
that.
that show that homegrown guys are the ones who end up performing better. Like, if you can pay your draft picks, you are a more winning franchise. That's a terrible way of speaking English, but the point is the more you can give a second contract to the guys that you drafted, the better your team is in terms of winning. So, that's I don't know. I just it infuriates me because you have a chance to be better than the Steelers. You have a chance to be better than the Ravens, and then you're like, "Yeah, whatever. We'll just make Joe do everything and, like, not give him anything on defense to help him out."
You said it all. I mean, absolutely, like,
It makes no
you
sense.
you feel my pain as a player, and yeah, what are we complaining about first world problems, but what does it say to a locker room? I'll end with this. If I'm a young guy in a locker room and I get drafted by the Bengals and I see a guy have an all-pro season go to the Super Bowl and you don't pay him, does that make you think you're gonna pay me in 2, 3 years? No, it just sets a precedent, like, if you work hard and you buy in and you're all about the team and you don't get in trouble and we go to the Super Bowl, we still will not pay you, and by the way, you still gotta pay Gatorade on your own or whatever they do over there, the Bengals, and we still have no indoor facility. So, for me as a young player, I'm like, if he ain't getting paid, if they made Uno wait till his 5th year or 4th year to get paid, he gotta get a triple crown to get paid, and I'm Yoshivas, there's no shot I think I'm getting a contract with the Bengals 'cause look what Jamar Chase had to do just to get a contract with the Bengals. So, it just sets a bad precedent, and players talk. Locker rooms are like living organisms, and it's like, yeah, this ain't it. So, just count my days.
Everything is an audition for another team. Like
Yeah.
those guys just audition for every other team every week. They wanna be on more national games so they can see, "Okay, so, maybe the Falcons will want me," like Jesse Bates, right? Because, often before we used to see a lot of interdivision trades because people were very familiar with how good another player was. Well, now it's like, well, it's everyone because the Bengals are for sale. Okay, good for I don't know. Anyways, I'll stop now because I'm not even like a like, I like the Bengals. I like the Bengals fine. I'm not anti-Bengals. I'm not, I'm a Lions fan, whatever. But like I sit there and this makes me infuriated because you have Joe Burrow. Whatever. I'll stop now.